My first day in Los Angeles County Jail, let's just say they didn't give me a manual or like a packet on how to conduct myself when a riot cracks off. My first day in Los Angeles County Jail, I ended up getting housed inside of a dorm. From my recollection, it's been a very long time. I believe it was 4400 dorm. Now, leading up to the dorm, you go up like these stairs, or stairs. It's actually out of order, out of service escalator, right? And you just walk up. And when you get to the fourth floor, you walk in, and there's like this big hallway, right? It's like 10, 12 feet ceilings. It's all made of cement. It's very dull, very sterile. And they have like these white, bright lights. Kind of resembles this, but it's kind of like hospital lights. When you walk in, there's something that I noticed immediately, and I thought this was very unique, was that the hallway, even though there's like hundreds or maybe even 1,000 people on that floor, it was very quiet. So whoever the sound engineer guy was, like whoever created that place, man, dang, you did a good job, man. There's like literally hundreds of people on that floor, and you didn't hear anyone talking. It's that well built, man. So kudos to you, bro. Like whoever built LA County, man, give them a raise if they're still around. Anyways, so right when you walk up, that's the first thing I noticed was like the silence, right? You're forced to hear it, and you walk up to this door, and as soon as that door swings open to the dormitory, it's like boom, you go from a world of silence into a place of like chaos. And it's crazy because right when you walk in, it's like you open into this different world, and there's like 200 people in there. There's 200 men. They're all talking, they're gambling. Maybe they might be smoking cigarettes, they might be smoking some weed. The TV's going on full blast. Showers are going, toilets are being flushed. People on the payphones calling home like, "Hey, put money in my books," or like, "What did the lawyer say? What is the case going on?" It's a very unique environment. So right when I walk in, the blacks, they are like, "Hey, yeah, he's with us. He's with us, homie. That's one of us right there." They were kind of happy because it's like, yeah, we got one more soldier. Inside jails, the others and the blacks, we rock together. So for them to have another soldier on their team was like, yeah, that's right, we got another member, homie. Inside those walls, numbers plays a big role. And they broke things down. They're like, "Hey, this is where the toilet paper is at. If you need toilet paper, you come here to this bunk and you grab as much as you need, homie." Because inside jail, at least in that dorm, you don't get your own toilet roll whenever you want to use the toilet. Like, people don't think about this. People are so used to like going to the toilet, and there's like a toilet roll right there. And if there's no more, you look over and you're like, "Oh, let me refill it." Well, inside that dorm, if you want to use the toilet, you have to go to a certain bunk, and they had like this big spool dedicated just for us, and we grab that, and we grab as much as we want or need, and then we go walk over to the toilet, and then we do our thing. So, anyways, breaks a couple of things down. He's like, "Hey, let me introduce you to your peoples, man. They're back there." And in that dorm, there was four of us. It was me, Cambodian homie, another Vietnamese guy, and then a young like Korean dude. I mean, we were all young. I was only 21, and everybody didn't seem past 22 or something like that. We were all young cats. And anyways, the Cambodian guy, he comes over, he introduces himself, and I remember this instinctively because he was from Long Beach. But more importantly, his gang is the name. It wasn't like something I was like used to hearing, and it stuck with me. And his gang was called Crazy Young Thugs. I was like, "Oh, that's a dope name, man." This tall dude. He was probably like 6'1", 6 feet. He wasn't like bulky or anything like that, but you could tell he had a good athletic build. And more importantly, you can tell he had a very long reach. Like, he could touch you from all the way back here, bam, just crack you. So he was just like, "Hey, just my name's Whoop De Woo. I forgot it. I'm down there. If you need anything, come holler at me, man. I'm gonna let you settle down. Just get adjusted." And inside the dorm, there's 4 rows of bunk beds. And over here where I was at, I was towards the front of the dorm. And luckily for me, all the homies were just literally down the line. So if I walk back down towards the end of the room, that's where all the homies were at. So by the time I got into the dorm, it was getting close to dinner time. Dinner came, they come give you your trays, you eat, they come collect it again, boom, you go back to your program. For me, I was exhausted. Lights wasn't out yet, but man, I had such a hard time sleeping leading up to this dorm, because you don't automatically get into this dormitory. You got to go through a holding process and just waiting until they find you a place to house you. So that took some time, and I didn't get any sleep during this process. So after dinner, I was pretty tired. I was like, man, I'm just gonna lay down and I'm just gonna just sleep. It is what it is, man. And lights out is usually around 9 o'clock. So as I lay down, I don't know how long I was out for. Maybe it was 5 minutes, maybe it was an hour. I have no idea. But eventually I get woken up, and there's like this big commotion going on. It's like something going on back there in the back, towards the back of the dorm on the other side. And I get up, I sit up, take the blanket off over my head, and I look. I'm like, huh, what's going on? And you can tell the conversation's getting a little aggressive. I don't know exactly who's who. I'm seeing a lot of the people back of people's heads, and they're just kind of congregating over there. And I'm like, whatever, man. It ain't involving me. Ain't none of my business. So I lay back down, put the blanket over my head. But when I did that, that's when I messed up. So I lay back down, and next you know, the room it gets quiet, and all you can hear is just the TV going on. I don't think much of it, but this next saying here I think holds true for this event that's about to happen. And there's a saying, and it goes by, there's always quiet before the storm. It always gets quiet before the storm. And man, as soon as like I lay back down, put the blanket back over my head, literally within like 30 seconds, the room just went shh. Or I don't know how long, but it got quiet. And if you're familiar with this sound, you'll know it. You ever lived in an apartment or you're in a building and you got people that are upstairs and there's like that hollow thumping? Let me see if I can mimic it here. Just imagine that times 200, because there's 200 men inside this dorm, right? So it got real quiet, and literally within like a few seconds, I don't know how long, you hear like this loud uproar. Plus the thumping is like, I get up off my bed. Bro, chaos was cracking. Like I look around, people just fighting, people jumping off the bed, like everyone's yelling, just movement. So I immediately just jump off the bed. I jump off the bed, like I'm on the top bunk. I jump down. As soon as I get down, honestly, I froze. But when I froze, I don't know how long it was, because time seemed to just slow down. As much as people were yelling, and there's how many people in there, it got quiet. I didn't hear anything at all. I can hear myself just thinking. And when people say time slows down when you're like having this adrenaline dump, it's true. I can see literally just people's movements, and it resembles like, how in movies you see like a streak of light, and you can see like the streak just like chasing the front end. That's exactly how I saw people, just and time just slowed down, and it got quiet, it got silent in my head. So as soon as I jumped down, I froze, but I don't know how long, because again, time had just slowed down. Maybe it was a second, maybe it was 2 seconds, maybe it was 30 seconds. I have no idea. But one thing I do know is as soon as I jump down, I turn over and I lock eyes. There's this Southsider next to me. It was like some older guy, though. When I say older, he was about like 60. And I don't know why or what happened, but when this riot popped off, everyone was getting down. It was like a full scale, others and blacks versus the Southerners and the whites. Man, like the whole room just popped off. But when I turned around, I looked at this dude, and we kind of just locked eyes, and we're like, dang. In my head, I'm thinking, do I crack this guy? Do I hit him? Like, I have no animosity towards him, but like, what? And he's old as hell. Do I just take off? So we make this eye contact, but for some reason, it was kind of weird because we both just like, yeah, let's just not fight each other, bro. So I turn over, but immediately as soon as I turn over, I got three bald-headed dudes just take off on me. Bam, 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 bam. I'm getting hit. Boom, boom, boom. And if you ever gone to a fight, a good way to kind of explain this, like if you get hit hard enough by someone, you kind of just like black out, like split seconds, microseconds, you know? And it's like blinking your eye. Bam, 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 bam. And these dudes were just taking off on me. Bam, 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 bam. So as soon as I got hit, I'm fighting back. Bow, bow, bow. And I don't know what it was, but it felt like the punches, they didn't hurt, you know? But I'm just fighting. I'm just swinging. I connect. I know I'm connecting because I can feel my hands touching. Boom. I don't know if I'm hitting hard or what, but they're hitting me. And, I feel like this hand on my back, on my shoulder, and it was kind of like being pushed. And I was like, oh man, I'm about to get jumped. I'm about to get jumped and maybe even DIE. That's like the thought that crossed my head. But lo and behold, it was that Cambodian homie from Long Beach. He kind of like pushed me to the side a little, and you see his hand, like long hand, like arm, just boom. He connects. One of the guy falls, and we're just like fighting side by side. And then another couple more spawn up out of nowhere, and we're just fighting, just squabbling. Pa, pa, pa. And I get hit from the back. I turn around. I swing a couple more times. I crack one. He cracks me, and we're just fighting. And then I don't know what happened. Somebody else came, and they start fighting. I turn back around, and then next you know, it's like, damn, it was the Cambodian homie, and he had like 6 on him. So I go over there to help, and we're just squabbling over here, and he's dumping. He's in there just throwing heads. Boo, boo, bam. Squabbling, bro. And I don't know how long the riot was going like on for, because in those moments, like 10 seconds seemed like an eternity. And next thing you know, the CEOs, they all come in, get down, get down, get down. And everybody gets down, fight's over, like everybody just kind of stops, And, after that day, it kind of reminds me of like how in moments when comfort is gone is when you find out who you're really made of, right? Like when you're backed up against the wall and you're forced to do something, and you're forced to kind of survive. That's when you finally do a real test on yourself. You look inward and you find whether or not you have that fight or flight mentality. You'll know in those moments. And it kind of reminds me of this thing called a stress test in business. And if anyone's in business and they understand this concept, stress test pretty much means like, you have an idea or you have something that you want to implement, a concept into your business. But what you do is you run scenarios where you put it at an extreme worst case scenarios. And the purpose of doing so is to look for its weaknesses, look for its flaws, see where there's room for improvement. So it's a good thing, because you can finally find out if this thing's actually going to work and what potential risks that you have moving forward if you were to implement it. So it's a good thing to do. And when you stress test yourself or even relationships that you're in and you're able to come out the other side and survive, it builds resiliency because you're like, hey, you know what? And it's the same for business. We put this to the test, we stressed it, and we made it. This means it's a high probable chance of being successful if we implement this. So when I was faced with that scenario and all my comforts were gone, I had no nothing, and it was just me by myself. Luckily with the homeboy, there's addendum right there, from Long Beach that backed me up. I stood the test of times, man, and I was able to hold my own. Now, not saying that's the same for every scenario, because who knows, man, next scenario I might get stomped out. Homie might not have been there. But, it after that day, luckily it was day number one, it taught me to just program and always program and just be on my toes. So programming pretty much means like you're inside jail. You hear this term often: program, program, program. Pretty much means you do your daily activity. You wake up, you make your bed, you work out, you eat. You write your letters, you call home. You just program. You do your normal activity. Give respect, daily stuff. Prison, jails, and moving forward through my entire process, I programmed every single day. I didn't miss a beat. And it reminds me of like, even when I went to prison, I remember it was like on a Sunday, vividly. On Sundays, for some reason, everybody just stops working out. They use it as a day to kind of relax. And there was this summer, you got to keep in mind, prisons, they're in the middle of nowhere, at least in California. We're in the middle of nowhere, and it's nothing but desert. And there was a day where it was like 114-degree weather. And where I was housed at was in Central Cali. Now, in Central Cali, you might have some northerners, you might have some southerners, mixed inside the yard. And that day, when it was really hot, I remember going out to the yard, which me and my homie, Bad Boy, and we went to the yard to go work out. There's no shade. There's no trees for you to hide. We went to the yard, and it was nobody but me and the homie, and I think it was like 4 northerners, and that was it. We were the only ones on the yard, and me and him me and Bad Boy were just getting in. We were doing our push-ups, we were doing our burpees. And one thing to keep in mind is when you go to the yard, once you're out there, you can't come back in. They lock the doors, and you're stuck until they open that door and you can let back in. When you're free, if I go outside right now and it's extremely hot, or it's like crazy storm, it's raining, I have the option to come back inside. But in prison, you don't have that. So you're forced to do those things. But, it's in those moments when I force myself to be in uncomfortable positions is when I really, really grew. And it's like 3 phases, right, throughout my whole time. Jail, prison, and when I got released, I continue to program no matter what. And to this day, I still program. I'm 41. I think I'm in decent shape. I don't think I look the best, but I think I do pretty well for myself. Keep my mind sharp. But in jail, I learned to have like that discipline, right? That physical discipline, because what happened? And there's so much chaos going on. You don't have time to like just have reflection because you're always on your toes. But for me, when I went to prison, I already got sentenced. This is where I'm housed at. I'm not going to be bouncing around from jail to jail, going to court and coming back home and getting like freaking lawyer visits and things like that, trying to figure out what's going on. But, jail was like chaos. In prison, it was like controlled chaos. And there were more moments of silence where I can look inwards, introspection, reflection. I can figure out who I am, have more self-awareness, right? I have like good focus. And then when I got home, it allowed me to use that program to integrate, right, back into society. And I still kept that discipline. And I remember coming home, and this is how I came out from the bottom. I literally came home with nothing, like literally nothing. Sleeping on sofas, freaking, I had nothing, man. But one thing I did have was control of myself. And every day I woke up at 6 and I started looking for a job at 7. And I did that for 8 hours every single day until 3 p.m. And then I finally took a break, and then I worked out. I went to go work out, walked back home, took a shower, ate, slept, and repeat. And I kept that same program over and over and over and over. And I still carry on to this day, the same exact mentality. But I'm going to be very transparent here. Recently, I've been slipping, and the reason why I've been slipping is because I went back to school, and I'm not accustomed to how school schedules, just how crazy it is. One day I'll go to school till 10 p.m. and then the next morning I have class at 8, and then I have class all the way till 10 that day as well. And it's just so chaotic that I'm trying to figure it out, like prison and jail, it's easier because you do the same thing at the same time every single day. Don't get it wrong, there are moments where there's lockdown, right? There's riots and then the prison gets locked down, but for the most part, lights are on the same day, you eat the same time, you go to sleep at the same time. But in the real world, it's not like that, man. There's so many other factors that influence that change of time, man. And with school being implemented into my life now, I've been slipping hard. So every time I need to realign myself, refocused, I always go back to jail. I always go back to prison. And I get that mindset. So what I'm doing is I created a 100-day challenge for myself, and it's using the tools that I used in jail, prison, and when I first got released to get back to that mindset. Because recently I have gained some weight, and I'm not happy with myself mentally, and even physically. When I look in the mirror, I'm not happy. So I'm gonna go ahead and create this 100-day challenge. I'm starting it today. Today is October 12th. Hey Siri, what is today's date? I don't know if you guys can see that. It's right there. Hold on. What a good way for me to always utilize what today's date actually is live events. I love live events because they're live, and it's in those moments where it's like you can't fake time, you can't fake dates. So I just wanted to show this just for myself, even just to prove that, hey, this is where it's at. You see that UFC, Charles Oliveira just fought, and he called out Max, UFC's channel, Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira, question mark. So I'm going to create this 100-day program, 100-day challenge, and no cheat meals, nothing. But it's going to allow me to refocus myself, realign myself, rebuild my discipline that I am missing in my life right now. Because with school, all I'm focusing on is just studying. I'm not working out. I'm eating whatever I want. I'm trying to be mindful, but I'm not at the same time. And I hate it. So I'm going to stop being a little B word, and I'm going to get back in there, man. So if you want to join me, it starts today. I'm going to do weekly recaps. I'm going to document everything, but I'm not going to break down the whole video. If I capture a whole week, it's going to be crazy long, but I'm going to put it in segments. And if you're interested, I'm going to probably put in the description of what the rules actually are that I'm going to go ahead and have this challenge around. And if you want to join me, man, go ahead and start today, because I need to get back into discipline, because right now my life is chaos. So if you maybe learned something in this video, if it made you think, if made you feel a certain way, brought back some memories, man, support the video, bro. If you want to go ahead and join me on this challenge, let me know below. There's a comment section, and I always want to say this at the end of every video because I think it's very important. I am trying to build a platform to help younger men, help just the younger generation overall, men and women, just understand the pitfalls of life and just learn from my experiences. I think that's very important. And with all the social media and influencers and things that are going on, so much nonsense. And hopefully they can find someone like me or someone that they could really relate to that has real world experience, not just showing only the good side of life, but also the bad side of things and how I was able to overcome them. And maybe they can apply that to their life as well. So if you want to support something like that, there's a subscribe button below somewhere on each side. You can also like the video, man. You can also share it with somebody. You can even leave a comment to push out some more engagement. So yeah, hopefully I see you guys and join me on this challenge. If not, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.